Help give kids an extra life by donating today to help sick and injured children. Link in the description and pinned comment below.
My canon event happened around 10 years ago. I don't want to talk about it any further than that.
Let me ask you an honest question. Is it really superhero fatigue that's setting in, or is it just that the movies aren't what they were a few years ago? Well, at least people are generally still loving the Spider-Man movies. And why not? Spider-Man has long been an icon of Marvel for good reason. The struggles of the everyman who's been gifted with great power and burdened with great responsibility. And with the newest animated feature bringing the entire Spider-Verse together, and a brand new game coming for the PS5 and, no doubt, later to PC, I figured it was a good time to see what the wall crawler brought to the arcade scene. Now, I've already looked at some games that Spidey's been in, namely the Marvel vs. Capcom series, but my gamer sense is tingling. There's something I can use here. Okay, how about this one? Turns out Sega gave the Web Swinger a solo outing back in 1991 in the arcades on their System 32 arcade board. And while details behind the development of the game are kinda scarce, I can at least give my thoughts on this escapade. And I don't need to be bitten by a spider to do it. So let's pop a quarter in the slot and start this baby up! So the story in this game is basic AF. The Kingpin has hired a cadre of villains to steal a mystical stone, and now it's up to Spider-Man to track it down and retrieve it. Well, Spider-Man and his amazing friends! Yes, this is a 4-player beat-em-up, and as such, we need to fill the remaining 3 slots. So we got Black Cat, who no doubt would probably find that stone valuable, Hawkeye, who's probably taking some time off from the Avengers, and we got... Namor? I may be wrong on this, but I feel like he's even less connected to Spidey than Hawkeye is. Anyways, like I said, this is a beat-em-up in the same vein as the Ninja Turtles arcade game, though I will admit the graphics aren't quite as vibrant as that one. Though it does seem like they were trying to make it look like a page in a comic book, in which case, props for effort. Each chapter starts with a shot of how the scene opens, along with the same voice-acted quote. Given that it's early 90s voice acting, it is, of course, cheesy as all hell. So we start off on the streets of New York in pursuit of Scorpion, who has the stone. The controls in combat are simple enough. You move in 8 directions, you have a basic 4-hit combo, you can throw a backhand punch to strike enemies behind you, and you can throw them. You also have air attacks, which have unique animations for each character, including Spidey's iconic web swing. You can also trigger a special by hitting both jump and attack, but it does cost you some life. Oh right, the life meter. You start with 800 health and lose a portion every time you get hit or use a special. But it also gradually drains away over time, 1 point every few seconds. It's like the people at Sega played a little too much Gauntlet.
Spidey needs food badly.
So after a few generic mooks, including mask-wearing grunts and a big dude who's willing to roll right over you... By the way, am I the only one who thinks that the mask guys sound like Shocker combat men from Kamen Rider? Anyways, you quickly catch up to the Scorpion, who wastes no time putting his tail to work. And to make matters worse, not long into the fight, Venom awakens and joins the fight himself, giving Scorpion time to make his exit. So after smacking Venom around a bit, the stone causes him to grow to... not quite kaiju size, but still pretty big. It's here that the screen zooms out and we transition from a beat-em-up into a side-scrolling platformer. Here, you walk, climb, jump, and battle your way through more henchmen with melee attacks up close, and projectiles like Spidey's webs and Hawkeye's arrows from a distance. You won't have to wait long to reach Venom again, and despite the size difference, you're still very much able to fight him. Even here, his attack pattern is basic. He'll just walk around and punch at you and the platforms. Unfortunately, he can easily trap you because of a significant problem with these sections. It's hard to tell where you can and can't jump down. After 2 phases of this, the stone's power wears off, the Kingpin's copter arrives, and you have to grab onto it until it lands and we transition back to a beat-em-up section. Here, a new kind of enemy appears. Martial arts mooks who have an annoying tendency to duck under your standing blows. After a little more of this, we reach Venom again, this time accompanied by some of Kingpin's suits. So after dealing with him one last time, for now, the stage ends with you getting bonuses of points and life based on mooks beaten and bosses booted. Chapter 2 sees us in pursuit of the Kingpin Zeppelin, and right off the bat we see the Green Goblin here to taunt us.
Jeez, rude much?
So we quickly get ourselves into a fight on the rooftops and just manage to get on board the blimp. And I've also been noticing that all 4 characters have the same speech bubbles as well. What, no room on the ROM for more? So our next big threat is the Lizard, who has a propensity to charge at us. Simple, but effective. Also, he knows how to duck. The Lizard's defeat signals the next side-scrolling area, and now we're dealing with flamethrower-toting robots and falling scaffolding in addition to our usual threats. Speaking of threats, we soon run into Electro, who's no threat at all. His attack pattern is simple, and he can be beaten in a single attack combo. Once we get to the bottom of the blimp and into the main cockpit area, it's back to beat 'em up, and the only thing that's really different here is that there's a crap ton of breakable barrels, some of which have health pickups behind them. So once we get to the front, it separates into another craft, and we're fighting Gobby on top of it. His first phase is almost pathetically easy, as we just have to dodge his evil glowy hand and deal with his reinforcements as we beat the shit out of him. It's when he hops onto his hover bike and starts dropping bombs that he becomes a total pain. You take a hit from one of those bombs, and the hit stun may well rob you of a chance to hit him back. Not to mention he can just straight up charge at you and knock you flat on your back. Meanwhile, in the background you can see, oh, the humanity! Once you knock Osborn off his bike, it's just the first phase all over again, and it's not long before he goes down for...
Good!
Question. Does anyone know how to fly this thing? Well, at least people with superpowers know how to survive crashing into a New York high-rise. So not long after taking down a few goons in the casino, we have a reunion with Scorpion, who I'm only now realizing is green.
I think I need to have a few words with Oscar.
Anyways, his attack pattern is the same as back in Chapter 1, except now he actually has a health bar. After which, we deal with similar mooks in the next side-scrolling section, climbing along pipes and such, as we make our way to an unceremonious battle with Dr. Octopus. He may not have the power of the sun in the palm of his hand, but with all those tentacles, he doesn't really need it. Seriously, I needed health pickups badly after that crap. After that, we need to hurry or the walls will crush us under them. And then we wind up in the Kingpin's office, and he is pissed. But instead of facing us himself, the coward hides behind more freaking mooks. If I never see a business suit again after this, it'll be too soon. So out on the balcony, after a brief encounter with Kingpin, he sends Sandman after us, and unfortunately for us, Talk no Jutsu isn't a viable strategy for a beat-em-up. After that, big twist. There's a second side-scrolling section in this chapter, and we're climbing up to the roof of the skyscraper. This leads us to Kingpin's chopper, where we fight the Hobgoblin, his pumpkin bombs, and the chopper's turrets. Geez, think that's enough projectiles for one man? Anyway, once we finish off the Flying Freak, we finally take on the Kingpin. And did I mention how dumb it is that Spidey's webs are the special that costs him health? Anyways, the Kingpin loves throwing his muscular weight around. Some things never change. So after a tough fight, Fisk finally gets what's coming to him, only for the stone to be stolen by Dr. Doom. And somehow he fits in the game on the mere fact that he is Doom. Anyways, this is the second aircraft we've crashed today!
What, was Joseph Joestar with his ragtag band of heroes? On second thought, his homon might have come in handy.
This is the final chapter, and it is long. And hey, we've got new enemies right off the bat. They look like human-monkey hybrids. Wait, didn't Doom once say that genetics wasn't one of his specialties? Oh hey, it's the Lizard again. Maybe they were his work? So once we deal with him, the fire dies out, and we make our way out of the cave and down the mountainside towards Doom's finally appointed Latverian villa. Of course, he's not a grateful host, considering that we have to break down the gate, not to mention deal with explosive mines here. At least the rats seem to be harmless. So we deal with the gates and more henchmen, and look, it's Green Goblin again! All 3 phases of him, annoying bombs and all. And right behind him is Sandman. Deal with him like before, and oh, how nice, Doom's come out to greet us personally. And yet his attacks mainly consist of simple punch combos and jet tackles. Well, at least we've beaten him. Oh wait, it's just a Doombot, my bad. So now it's time to scale the castle walls, but be careful of flame-spewing cow skulls and those mines I was telling you about earlier. As we cross the bridge into the tower, we find Doom on his throne saucer, assailing us with electricity as he flies around. This is honestly disappointing considering Doom's arsenal. All these battles and not one foot dive? So after destroying his saucer, immediately we fight him on foot, and it's the same fight as the DoomBot earlier. Oh, but wait, he has another phase as the walls crumble to reveal his laboratory. And this time he has photon beams. Now this is a bit more like it. But eventually, Doom meets his own Doom. But it might be just another DoomBot. But no time to rest, as suddenly we're met with Venom. And not just one, but 3 of them. Well, that's weak. Make the final boss harder by facing us with 3 of them? So we eventually take them down, and the heroes watch as Doom's castle crumbles Castlevania style. And roll credits. So what did I think about the game? Well, it's okay, but I felt like more could have honestly been done. For one thing, while I do appreciate the attempt at a comic book-like feel, complete with speech bubbles, the graphics as a whole look kind of faded and, dare I say it, rather dull. Unfortunately, this isn't helped by the lackluster music tracks. I didn't find much of the music to be catchy or memorable at all. As for the gameplay, it's serviceable, but I do have some issues with it. In the beat-em-up sections, the combat mostly works, although when I play it, I can't help but think of the Ninja Turtles arcade games, or hell, other Sega beat-em-ups like Golden Axe and Streets of Rage. And honestly, the gameplay feels slower and less dynamic than any of those. Just a few simple moves and that's it. And in regard to the specials, I brought this up before, but why should the most iconic techniques of the characters cost you health? Spidey's webs and Hawkeye's arrows are part of who they are. And how exactly does firing an arrow hurt Hawkeye? I know this is technically a nitpick, but it really bugs me. Another thing that really bugs me is how slow movement is. The lack of a dash doesn't help matters either. The side-scrolling areas, while neat, can feel a little cheap at times as well, as can some of the bosses. On the plus side, it's really cool how seamless the transition between beat-em-up and side-scrolling sections is. It happens largely without a hitch. And the villain selection is quite impressive. A lot of iconic Spidey villains are here and tend to be true to their style. But in the end, I feel like there's quite a bit of missed potential. And it's especially telling that Turtles in Time released the same year in arcades.
But hey, as long as you have quality Spider-Man media, then you don't have to worry about an average arcade game or comics that may or may not hit the mark. As long as you've got something, well, you can wear the mask. Remember, anyone can wear the mask. I'm the Quarter Guy, and until next time, the arcade is closed.
Whether you're a wrestler striding down the runway and into the ring, or a baseball player stepping up to the plate ready to hit that big home run, or a BattleBots team coming down the hall to bring your bot into the box for 3 minutes of demolition, if you're looking to be a boss, you'd sure as hell better bring a badass theme, or I'm not gonna take you quite as seriously. Presentation is what separates the stars from the superstars, my friend. Next time, top 10 character boss themes. It's game time! Hey everyone, QG here. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video around. Feel free to check out my Twitter and my Twitch streams, and consider supporting me through Patreon and donating to my Extra Life campaign to support Children's Wisconsin. Thanks for watching.